made possible by a grant from Mobil Corporation.
Good evening and welcome to Mystery. I'm Vincent Price. Tonight, the final episode of our current series about Rumpole of the Bailey. Rumpole is fond of quoting from literature, but I wonder if he'd agree with Thackeray that lawyers spend their time a-living at their ease, a-sending of their writs about, and drawing in the fees. Rumpole hasn't been drawing in the fees of late, and his computerized bank statement shows that his account is beginning to blush an embarrassing shade of red. Now, unlike most law firms in America, where partners share the profits of the firm, in English chambers, it's each barrister for himself, and he depends on solicitors to bring him briefs. Unfortunately, Rumpole has a financially disastrous habit of insulting solicitors who annoy him. You'll recall in the episode Rumpole and the Female of the Species, the solicitor, Mr. Bernard, was quite adamant when he said he didn't want Rumpole to defend his client, and Bernard told Rumpole's clerk, "I can put up with a good deal from the members of the so-called senior branch of our great profession, but I will not be called a villainous viper in the clear hearing of the Uxbridge Magistrates' Court." Rumpole claimed he was merely seeking to improve Bernard's education by quoting from Richard II. John Mortimer, author of the Rumpole stories and a barrister himself, remarks in his memoirs about some of the traditional troubles with trying to obtain the favor and hence the cases of solicitors. In order to get solicitors to like the cut of your jib, you had to meet some solicitors. This could only be done by appearing in court, something you wouldn't be asked to do until you'd met a few solicitors who liked the cut of your jib. This was the sort of difficulty which could last a lifetime, as with some unfortunates it did. Once a barrister has obtained a brief and argued the case, there still remains the problem of exacting payment. Oftentimes, this entails an exceedingly complex bureaucratic route through which payment must travel from the client before it reaches the barrister. The client pays the solicitor for the hire of the barrister, and under ideal circumstances, the solicitor passes the payment on to the barrister's clerk. Also, it's contrary to bar etiquette for the barrister to discuss or request fees except through his clerk. In many cases, the payment lingers with the solicitor for long periods of time, and nothing much can be done short of constant reminders from the clerk. The barrister cannot sue for payment because when lawyers were mainly clerics, they placed their learning at the disposal of laymen, and the barrister's fee was traditionally held to be honoraria. Consequently, Rumpole often finds himself in a financial crunch, as in tonight's episode, which begins at the Sun Sand Mobile Home Park in Cornwall, where some of the vehicles are a bit more mobile than their renters would like. Rumpole and the Last Resort. This is not the first time Rumpole has made a departure from chambers. Uncle Tom remembers that it was exactly the same when Rumpole's learned friends believed he'd retired. Rumpole kept popping back, Uncle Tom says, like a bloody opera singer. Tonight was our last visit with Rumpole this season. Will he return again? Well, I certainly hope so. Ballard seems anxious to establish young Archie Featherston in Rumpole's office, and Claude Erskine Brown seems set on claiming that umbrella stand. Rumpole himself says his return from the grave is positively his last reappearance. But he said that before, you know. While we're waiting, a toast to Horace Rumpole with his favorite poison, Chateau Thames Embankment. For Mystery, I'm Vincent Price. Good night.